Hey guys, it's Lauren from the Granite State Yarns podcast, and I am here today coming to you from the great state of New Hampshire. So it is Friday, March 18th, and I am outside on my deck. It is about 70 degrees outside today, so it feels like spring. It's a little windy, so hopefully that's not going to be causing too much trouble. I have my earbuds in, and I don't know if that's going to help with the recording or not. I'm gonna give it a try. Why not? It does feel weird though to talk with these in, so I don't know. Hopefully it goes okay. So I have a little bit of knitting to talk about today. I also have a little bit of spinning to talk about today, and I don't have a dyeing video, sadly, this time because I haven't done any dyeing, but I do have the yarn that I dyed last time, so you can get a good close-up look of it. So you can find me at my website www.granitestateyarns.com, and over there I have stock yarn, both fingering and DK weight. I have a few things in the shop right now, as well as some knitting patterns. So if either of those things are interesting to you, please feel free to go check out my website. You can also find me on Instagram at Granite State Yarns, and that's where I share photos of my works in progress and my finished objects, as well as, you know, little bits and things from life. So I guess we will get into it. First off, let's talk about the yarn that I dyed in my last video. We decided to name it Bumbleberry Swirl. And the reason why it's called Bumbleberry Swirl is because it reminded my children of an episode of Pocoyo, which is a show that they enjoy watching, where our hero goes to the Bumbleberry Forest. So I didn't think that this really looked like a forest so much, so I went with the Bumbleberry Swirl. So that's the meaning of that name. So this is a really nice got a nice lilac swirl of this lilac purpley color on a creamy base, and you can see a little more of that cream down here, and then there's lots of blue and purple and pink speckles, lots and lots of speckles. I very much enjoy this yarn. It looks really fun. So if you are interested in purchasing this, this is available at my website right now. All right, so let's do finished objects, okay? So for the last couple podcasts, I have talked about these socks. I got these finished earlier in the week, and these are socks from Daisy Stitch Co.'s That Sock Set box. I had originally started knitting these with one of the free patterns that came along, or maybe not free patterns, but one of the patterns that came along with the sock set box. And I, while I really liked the pattern, felt that this highly variegated yarn would do better with something a little more simple. So I ended up frogging that project and restarted this one. And I think that this really makes the yarn shine a little bit more than that particular pattern, but I'm definitely going to be saving that pattern for a future sock project, just with something that's probably a little more tonal, or a little more, or a little, you know, maybe something with some variegation but not quite as much, because it was so sad. These beautiful hearts were coming out of the lace pattern. You see my daughter riding the bike. I think my son is in the little trailer there. Anyway, what was I saying? That the hearts in the lace pattern, they were just getting lost in all of this variegation. So it's a beautiful pattern, and I would definitely like to do it again. But I think these came out pretty nice. So these have a picot edge cuff, and I have a video tutorial on this YouTube channel on how I do those. This one, you'll see that I started it with this beautiful hot pink and went through the picot section, which is just eyelets, and then did one more row after the eyelets, and then switched over to the main color, and then sewed everything together. Again, you can look at that tutorial if you don't know how to make a picot edge cuff. But I really like the effect that that gave, and that's this really fun little peekaboo hot pink there. So then the rest of the sock is pretty much just a vanilla sock with the black mini from that sock set box that I used for the heel here, and then just, you know, plain stockinette knitting all the way down to the toe, where then I did this really cute little heart color work here. Really, really like the way those came out. So fun. And so the hearts go all the way around the foot. And yeah, so I'm giving these to my daughter Julie. I just told her last night that they were hers, and she's very excited about them. So that's really cool because, as I've mentioned before, I'm knitting a pair of socks for each of my daughters that like to wear my hand knit socks that are old enough for that. I have 6 daughters, 1 son, and 2 of the girls are still really young. One is she just turned a year old, and the other one is 2. So while they can wear my hand knit socks, I don't usually knit for them just because those socks just fall off their feet or they lose them or whatever. So my older ones, who are, the oldest is 13, and then we have an 11-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 6-year-old, they all wear my socks all the time. So I already had 3 pairs done, actually technically 4 pairs, because we had a little bit of a sizing mishap with my gauge. I've talked about how my gauge is kind of tightened up over the last few months here. So actually these socks were originally intended for my oldest, but my gauge, like I said, really has just tightened up, and I knit these at size 0 needles. So they fit her, but they were a little tight. So I ended up giving these to my 11-year-old. And so now I'm just, you know, you have great plans that everybody's gonna have, it's all gonna be very fair, and then you have this sort of thing happen, and now Julie ended up getting 2 pairs of socks, and Abby only got 1 pair of socks, so I have a new pair for Abby on the needles, which I'll talk about in a little bit, to try to like even out things a little bit. But anyway, so this pair I haven't even talked about on the podcast yet, because I literally started this on Tuesday night right after finishing those heart socks, and got these done in 48 hours, like almost exactly 48 hours, because this was just all I wanted to do was work on these socks. So these are for my 6-year-old, Maria, and it is Felici yarn. This is the Under the Sea colorway, and I actually used that hot pink mini that came from the sock set box. So you can see it's the same color. And I really like the hot pink heels and toes. I think it absolutely just changed the feeling of the Felici yarn here, which was, you know, let's cover this up. I mean, that's really pretty on its own, but there's something just really fun about that pop of hot pink. So the Felici is a self-striping yarn, and actually I believe it's still on sale at Knit Picks right now. I think there's a coupon code on the website, and so you can get it for, I don't remember exactly, but it's a really good deal. Felici on its own is very inexpensive. I think it's $6.99 per ball. It's 50-gram ball, which is enough for me to get, you know, I had plenty of yarn to do matching socks for my 6-year-old. If I was trying to make matching socks for an adult, I'd probably do shorter shorties, and still with the contrast color here. But you definitely can eke out a pair of shorties that match with that Felici yarn. So it's very cost effective. So what I did, you can see I have these really nice little pearl ridges, which I saw Carrie from Stolen Minutes had done, I think with her Zebra Yarns Advent. I think she did that, if I'm remembering correctly. And I really liked that little pearl ridge there at the color change. So I thought I would give that a try this time. And it gave it a really cool effect. Yeah, so these, I think I just did, you know, 2 colors for the cuff. It's a knit 2, purl 2 cuff. And then it's basically just vanilla knitting except for that pearl ridge at the color change. My usual heel turn here, or heel flap and gusset, and then a rounded toe like I always do. So these fit her great. These were 56 stitches cast on, and that fits her really well. So these are all done. So all the kids got their socks last night and they were all really excited about them. So that was a lot of fun. And now I have, you know, plans to do more socks for everybody. And actually I just cast on one, so we might as well start talking about that. Go into works in progress now. So this is in my current favorite bag from Midwest Stitches. And here is another sock. I just cast this on last night. This one is a 64 stitch cast on with a knit one, purl one cuff. And I think I'll probably be doing about another inch for the leg here. My daughter likes a sock that's not quite a shorty, but not quite a longy. She likes them kind of in between. So these are going to my 13-year-old Abigail. Really like this yarn. It's like a pink yarn with some darker pink speckles with some green and blue speckles too. And there's a little bit of orange if you look closely. So super cool. This yarn is from Cedar Hill Farm Company. So this color is Dogwood Days. And it is, I want to show you in the cake here. Super pretty. So I let Abby go through my yarn and pick out the one she wanted, and this was the one she chose. So just have a couple of hours of work on here. And I'm actually, you'll notice, once again, trying the 9-inch circular, which the last time I did this, decided I hated 9-inch circulars and I would never try it again. But ended up, once again, trying it. My guess is that I just don't like 9-inch circulars. Like the last one I did, it was a ribbed pattern, like the whole way through the sock. It was that spiral sock that I did for my son, and it was just taking forever. But if I'm just doing stockinette, then I don't mind the 6-inch circular so much. So I figured I'd give it a try again. The other reason why is because of the gauge issues that I've been having. I don't have a ton of size 1 needles. I have 2 sets of ChowGoo needles that are size 1. And my daughter Abigail is currently knitting a pair of socks with them. And my daughter Juliana is currently knitting a pair of socks with them. So all I have right now is a Knit Picks size 1 needle. And the Knit Picks one, I actually have it right here. If you look at the tips of these, now this it gets complicated. I'll talk about that in a second. But anyway, you'll notice that the tips here, this one is the Knit Picks one and this one is the ChowGoo. And you'll see that the ChowGoo is significantly sharper. And that really makes a difference for me. I really like the sharper needle. And so I was just getting very frustrated with doing this one. So what I did, I ended up doing the cuff with the Knit Picks needle because the cuff can be a little fiddly. And like I said, I just don't like purling with the 9-inch circular very much. So I used this one for that. And then I moved over into the 9-inch circular for down here. This though is a size 0 9-inch circular, but I knit looser on the 9-inch circular because it's such a small diameter. So it ends up being about the same. This is a whole long complicated thing. You know, the thing that would make it really easy is if I just go online and order myself some new ChowGoo needles. But then every time I go to do that, I'm like, well, if I'm here ordering these needles, then maybe I need to buy more yarn. But my yarn collection's getting kind of outrageous right now. So I kind of don't want to buy any more yarn, but then I kind of want to buy some more yarn. But then if I'm buying it, anyway, I think I really, though, just need to buy some more ChowGoo needles. So that would make things easier. But for now, I'm just gonna try the 9-inch circulars one last time. Or maybe this will like unlock something and then I'll really like it. Cause like I know McKaylee from Breaking Yarn loves the 9-inch circulars. I know Kay, the crazy sock lady, really likes them. So I just keep trying to convince myself that I can like them too. One more time. So that's that pair. My other work in progress that I've been putting effort into this week, because I do have some other works in progress, but I haven't knit on them. So I'm just going to talk about the ones that I have knit on in this week. This, ooh, dropping a pencil. This is my Barocco sock, the acrylic and nylon blend. And I think I was just a little past the heel turn, maybe, into the gussets. And so I've got another couple inches of stockinette done here. I'm beyond the gusset decreases, so I'm about halfway done this foot. And these are coming out nice. So I did a little bit of work on them. Not a whole lot to talk about. Still am enjoying this yarn. It's a nice little experiment. I've never done acrylic and nylon blend socks before, but it's very soft. It's very nice, and I really like this self-striping pattern that's going on. And actually, these are size 1 needles too. Forgot about these. These are Knitter's Pride, and these are definitely, I think these look like they're a little bit sharper. Yeah, they are. Not a ton, but it seems to be enough that, can I get that to, there we go. Look a little bit sharper, because these don't bother me so much. Huh, maybe I could look into these too. Yeah. The saga of figuring out knitting needles, right? Does anyone else have any suggestions for other needles I should try? I definitely, like I said, I like sharp points and I like metal needles. The aluminum ones are fine. I think I like the slick steel ones a little bit better, but aluminum's fine too. I just don't like, I really don't like wooden needles at all. But I don't know, Haya-Hayas, I haven't tried those yet. I've thought about trying them, but I'm a little, I like the ChiaoGus because of the really smooth transition, which is the other problem I have with these, the Knit Picks ones, is the transition is just, there's like a ridge, and so my stitches just go as I'm moving it off, and it just, I don't like that. So yeah, are there any other needles that I should maybe look into? I know most people tend to, it seems like a lot, or maybe not most people, but a lot of people really like the ChiaoGus, so it's probably what I should just stick with. Okay, so those are all my works in progress. Actually, no, I have one more. This one is one you haven't even seen before. And it's in this giant bag because this is my most languishing work in progress. It is a blanket that I started when I was pregnant with my son, and my son is now 4 years old. So this is a over 4-year-old project that I am going to get done, I swear. I'll pull it out because I love it. Yeah, so this is the Stardust blanket, and you can get this pattern at Knit Picks. And the yarn that I'm knitting it with is Wool of the Ant. Ooh, it's dirty. It's like fuzz in here. I tell you, this is an old project. It has, I mean, look at look at this hank of yarn. It's like smushed. Oh my goodness. So anyway, this is Wool of the Andes bulky. It is I think, yeah, 100% Peruvian Highland wool, bulky weight, as the name suggests. And the colorway is Spruce, which is this gorgeous dark teal color. Don't mind the crumbs that are in the yarn. So I have, oh my goodness, I have so many. Look at all this, like, I still have all this stuff. Oh my goodness. I think I'm about halfway done. I should just show the blanket instead of stalling, right? Okay. Some fuzz on this too. So anyway, okay. I'm gonna have to like back up, I think. But Stardust blanket. It is super cool. Here, let me show you it in its entire glory here. You see it? I hope that's working. I guess this is a good benefit of recording with the earbuds. I think hopefully that you could still hear me when I was all the way back there. So anyway, like I said, 4 years old, and I think I knit like, I don't know, there was one day last year that I pulled this out to knit on. So I probably did a couple of rows in like the last year or two. When I started it, I mean, I was flying. I was pregnant, so I just wanted to sit down, and it was wonderful. It's a very simple pattern. It's just knits and purls, so it's really easy. It gets a little bit confusing here and there because, I don't know, sometimes those textured patterns can get, like, I don't know, you get confused, right side, wrong side sometimes. But, I mean, really, if you can read knitting and see what you did below, it's not that difficult. So it's really not that hard. But I mean, that was 4 years ago. I was still like kind of a new knitter. Well, not super new. I started knitting, like really knitting, when Katie was born, or I was pregnant with Katie, and she's 9. So no, I mean, I really wasn't that new of a knitter. Never mind. That'll just be my excuse, is why I was confused. Like, I have mistakes and stuff on here, mostly on the edges. Let's see if I can find some. Well, I guess it's not too bad if I can't find one right now. Oh yeah, like over here. I mean, it's not even, it's so not really even a problem. Like, it's not even that visible. I mean, it's just something that I'm gonna know. It's stuff like, you know, I slipped a stitch when I wasn't supposed to, or I forgot to slip a stitch or something, and then tried to fix it. And yeah, does anyone else have trouble with like those edge stitches sometimes? Like, you just cannot figure out like which way to put the stitch on. You know, was it this way? Anyway, that was the main part that would trip me up. But like all the rest of it, I don't think I have any, at least nothing serious for mistakes. But like I said, I think I'm about halfway done, maybe a little bit over halfway. And I would really love to get this blanket done. It is so heavy now though, and it's wool, bulky weight, and it's definitely covers me when I'm knitting. So like, I get really hot because you're like moving this around and it's so much. And so I think that's why I kind of like ran out of steam. So this would have been a good project to pull out over the winter, not at the end of spring when it's starting to get warmer. I mean, we still have plenty of coldish days ahead, so maybe I should really focus on trying to get this done in the next month or two, so that way I'll have it done and I won't have to sweat under it, and I'll feel so much better to not have this giant languishing WIP. Because I mean, I think with all the yarn I bought, I want to say I think I got it on sale, but it was still pushing like $100 for all the yarn. And I really want to get this done because that was a lot of money to spend. And this, I don't know, I mean, I'm not regretting it at all. I love this blanket. I want to get it done. So I think we'll hopefully be seeing more of this. If I talk about it on the podcast, then I'll have to do it, right? Because look at this. Isn't it pretty? And it's so nice and squishy, and definitely like something I could see myself cuddling in. I just have to do it. Just have to do it. So I will put this back in its bag of fun. All right. So that's all of the works in progress. Yeah, did I even say, like, I worked on it last night. That's why it's currently a work in progress. I put like, I think four rows into it last night. All right. Now on to spinning. So I talked last week about how I was going to a spinning class, and I was a little bit worried because the weather was looking a little rough, and it did snow and rain and sleet and just about every possible weather thing out of the sky for winter, but the drive was fine. The roads that I was driving on were kept nice and clear, so it ended up not being a problem at all for me. So I was very thankful for that. So we learned about wool and taking a fleece. Sorry, my daughter was just asking me. Go ahead, that's fine. So we learned about taking wool like from a fleece that had just been shorn off the sheep and how to skirt it. So that means get rid of like all of the icky bits around the edge of the fleece, and how to determine if a fleece is good quality, what to look for, and some of the tricks if you're going to a wool festival on how to, you know, be able to look in those bags, which I've never been to one before. So it was a little bit like, I don't know, it was like a whole just jump right into the world of buying fleece. And yeah, so I feel like I know a little bit more about it. So if I am planning to go to the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival in May, and I don't know if I'm going to buy a fleece or not, but if I decide I want to, I feel like I at least have some idea on what I'm looking for, which is great. So that was wonderful. But then we also got bunches of samples of all these different wools from these different breeds and got to spin them and play around with them, and I learned how to card. I learned how to comb. I learned how to use a drum carder. So that was great. So I'll show you a little bit. I should have organized this a little. So I have a couple that are dyed, and I did not bring a pen, so I don't have the actual breeds written down. But that's okay. I kind of wish I did, but it's okay. So I've got this one. It's not a neon green sheep. This was dyed. I think she said she did it with Kool-Aid. Maybe it was acid dye. I know this one was acid dye. But isn't it neat how, oops, just lost some of how when she dyed this fleece, the tips did not, like the dye didn't catch or didn't absorb or whatever. The tips didn't pick up the dye. So there's kind of this neat little variegation there. This is so soft. I'll show you with this one because it's really neat. You can really see like the crimp in that particular fleece there. So cool. So like I said, I learned how to use a carder, like those, you know, I'll put a picture up here of what a carder looks like. You also actually, I used the carder, but what I really was surprised that I enjoyed is taking, they're like the, again, I'll put a picture up here, but the combs that or brushes that you use for dogs, and they're not very expensive at all, and you can definitely use those to brush out the fleece to get it ready for spinning. So I think I'm going to buy one of those because they don't cost that much at all, and it's totally good enough for the amount of spinning that I do. And you know, I used the drum carder and was really surprised because I've been looking at drum carders and saying like, oh, someday it'd be really nice to have one of those. I really didn't like it that much and was kind of surprised. It was a lot more fiddly than I expected. I mean, the other thing is I'm sure with more practice I would get better at it, but it was hard. Dealing with fleece, it's actually a lot of work, but I'm still really new at this. So anyway, all right, I've got some other fleeces here. So I have this one. Some really cool different colors here, and this wool. And then I've got this one. Oh, this one is incredibly soft. I think this was the one from New Zealand. It is I mean, it's like a cloud. It is so, and it spins like a dream. This one was really nice. And then I got this really fun brown one here with, again, the tips kind of get bleached out a little bit, but that's why you take that little brush and you brush out those little kind of dried bits. And then, what was this one? Oh, started with a J. It'll come to me. But this one was really cool. Maybe it was not a J, it was a Romney. Anyway, this one has multiple different colors. It's like a kind of a medium tone gray, and this white, and then a darker kind of gray, darker gray, brownish colors. And this one, actually this was the one that I did with the drum carder. So here's the nice combed, it's not technically a combed top, roving. This is the roving that I made with the drum carder. And so this would make for a nice woolen, worsted spun yarn, because all of the fibers are going in the same direction. And it's so soft. Again, just so fluffy. And I tried to keep like this stripe here of that lighter white color. It still got kind of blended together a bit more than I think I would have liked, but again, still just learning how to use that carder. So that was the drum carder. The ones that I did with like the little brush, I've already spun that, and I'll show you my very spectacular yarn that I made that day.
What are you doing?
It's not that great. And this is that, so yeah, this is this wool that combed. And I'll put a picture of combs up here. They're these really like medieval torture device looking things. And this is the little bit of roving that I made with the combs. And when we were getting the demo for how to use the comb, I looked at it and I said, there is no way I'm going to use that. I have no interest in that. No way. And then I used it and it was actually really fun. However, I still don't think that I will ever own a comb in any time in the near future because they are so dangerous. And all right, 1, I'm a klutz. 2, I have a pile of kids, and I don't think it's something that I want to have in my house right now because I don't trust myself, and I don't trust, well, I don't want to say I don't trust the kids because I have good kids, but those things are really dangerous. They're so like sharp. They're like, it's kind of like nails, but like sharp nails. So anyway, really cool. It is a neat process and it does make an amazing combed top roving. But I don't think that's for me. So this is the yarn that I made, which is like this total Franken single that's going on here because it's got a little bit of everything in it. I think everything on here is woolen spun. So worsted spun yarn, all of those fibers are combed out so that way they're all going in the same direction. And so when you spin it, it makes very dense yarn. Tends to be very strong. In woolen spun, the fibers can be going in all sorts of different directions. And so when you pull that out to spin, it's a different technique and it will trap a lot more air in the yarn. So the yarn tends to be a lot lighter and it's a lot warmer, but it also doesn't have quite the strength that a worsted spun yarn has. Now, I've never spun woolen spun yarn before. This was my first time, and so I am not very good at it yet, which is evidenced by the wildness of the singles that I knit here, or that I spun here. So you see there's like big chunky sections. This part's here, like that's really overspun, I think. But it's not too bad. I mean, I got decent. You can see some more, like another big thick section there. But it was really fun to get a chance to kind of play around with a different technique. And like I said, I'm planning on getting one of those dog combs to make my own, woolen roving, to do some more spinning with all of this fiber that I have here. So that'll be fun to kind of play around with that. You can see there's there's the green, a little bit of that blue kind of hiding under there. So it's not the most beautiful single you've ever seen in your life, but this was what I was learning on. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I think I might just, make it just for fun. Just ply it up and see what happens, and then just save it. I don't really think I'm going to knit with it, because I don't think, maybe I'll make a swatch with it just for the fun of it. I don't know yet. I haven't fully decided, but that's what I did. So that was my class, and it was, I think I was originally, and this is not a critique on the class, I think I was expecting a little bit more of a how to spin nature of it, which is probably just my fault with reading the description. And it really wasn't a how to spin. Now, we got some pointers on spinning, so it wasn't like a complete, obviously we did some spinning. And I'm not disappointed in how the class went. It was just a little bit different from what I had originally thought it was going to be. But in the end, I learned a lot about fiber and different breeds of sheep and how they make different wools, and how to, like I said, how to buy a fleece. I learned how to spin woolen, which I had never done before. So it was really, really fun and interesting, and I met some really nice ladies who were there. It was awesome. It was such a good time, and I definitely love to get together with them again, do another class, just get together for spinning night. I don't know. So it was a blast, really. So that was my class. Oh, and then I thought, for fun, I haven't talked about these, so I thought I would take them out. But I dyed up some roving. Actually, I did it, I think, probably a month or two ago, and I just haven't talked about them because I kept forgetting about it. But this is Knit Picks. Oh, what was the roving? Kloss, I think. It's a wool and silk blend, and I dyed this up with my typical acid dyes, and I've never dyed a roving before, and I still haven't spun this, so I don't know if I ruined it. I don't think I did, though. I think it looks like it's nice. I don't think I felted it. And so I did this one, which is some teal and brown and green and some orange, and then left some of the, there's some, bare sections here and there. So there's this braid. And then, I had to dye one with purple because I love purple. So here's this one. And so that was a very fun experiment to get to try dyeing. First of all, I've only dyed superwash yarn. And this was non-superwash wool and silk. So I was a little bit worried about felting it, but I didn't. Actually, I dyed it in a big pan, like a pasta pan. So I had all the water underneath, and then there was like that colander that kind of sits in it. And so I put the roving in the colander and then poured the dye on top. And I figured by steaming it, it would be less likely to felt and wouldn't get messed around too much. And then I think whatever dye was left in, that had dripped through the roving and gone into the water underneath, I think I ended up putting some minis or something in there to absorb any of that. And then I usually do that. I have minis that I'll throw into dye to just kind of soak up whatever dye that's left, and then sometimes I give them away as little free samples to my customers. So if ever you buy yarn from me, there is a chance that you will get a free sample of a mini here and there. So there's a little added incentive. They don't go in every one of them. Sometimes I say that I'm going to do it. Sometimes I just pop them in there for fun. But
We have a package.
okay, thank you, buddy. The first time I did roving, I'm happy about it. I don't know if I'll be dyeing roving regularly or selling it. For now, it's just kind of a little experiment for myself. And yeah, I mean, if you're interested in purchasing roving, maybe let me know. And maybe I will consider putting it in my shop. We'll see. But I think that is all I have for today. Not a whole lot to chat about. It's been another week. Like I said, I just really wanted to talk about that spinning class. The weather is so nice today. I think at this point I would like to clean stuff up and maybe take my knitting out and go hang out with my husband, who is that him down there? Yeah, that's my husband down there. Oop, there he is. And I believe he's setting his trains up. So as I talked about before, one of my favorite things to do on a nice sunny day is to go down and watch his trains and do some knitting. So that's my plan for the afternoon. So anyway, I hope you have a lovely weekend. Hopefully I'll get this up before the weekend. Otherwise, hope you have a great week. And I will talk to you all next time. See you later. Bye-bye.